Hello, this is Greg Allison from Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you on the evening of 1 June 2020. And there's something that's bugging me, it's something I want to talk about, and that is, of course, what's going on these evenings across this country, across our land, as cities are burnt and looted and stores are looted. It's one thing to see things that come up from the grassroots, and like I've always said in my previous video on this topic, two wrongs don't make a right. I understand the passion. I understand that people have been wronged and that people are fearful on all sides of this still. But what bugs me is there seems to be a high degree of orchestration in what's happening, what's going on, be it Antifa or whatever. What gets me is that there's been multiple videos showing, in multiple cases, piles of bricks on pallets set out nowhere near construction sites, conveniently in the centers where the rioters would show up. And a lot of these rioters are with organizations that, like in Pittsburgh, the chief of police said these guys came from out of town. I had a friend who was in Nashville, one of her friends was in Nashville at what was a peaceful protest for starters, and then groups came from out of town, and it got ugly. And that's what I'm hearing from other places. People are coming from out of town. They're traveling around. How are they traveling? Who's motivating? Some of this has been orchestrated on social media, I understand, but I also recall that some years ago when we had similar riots in Richmond, prior to that and during that, there had actually been advertisements run for people, like labor. I've heard stories that some of these people are getting paid like $2,400, which is twice what was available for the pandemic stimulus check that people got. I don't know. I'm just telling you there's just lots of things floating around out there. I have seen pictures of the bricks. We do know that things seem to have been orchestrated in Richmond back then. We do know that people were coming down buses. Are there buses involved in this time? I don't know. But people are coming in from out of town. Maybe they're being more discreet this time. Certainly the organizational aspects of it seem to be discreet. So Greg, how can you say this is happening? Well, I'll tell you why. I know who can say, who can fear. There is an entity in this country that can obtain all of that data, all the coordination on social media, everything set on cell phones, everything typed into social media outlets, every single last syllable. That's the National Security Agency. They have all of that. And they have a huge data fusion center south of Salt Lake City. So if you're one of these guys thinking you can just run around and riot and get away, well, maybe you can. But it won't be because they don't have the data and don't know who you are. Which raises a whole nother specter of questions. I would anticipate that someone would, in fact, take that data that's out there. I mean, the software looks for keywords. A lot of these keywords are spoken. That AI software today is far more sophisticated than the AI software we used to use for that. It's absolutely within the capabilities of that system to figure out who are the driving forces behind this, to trace it, to track it, and to arrest them. People are dying. Businesses are being destroyed. Businesses that had nothing to do with George Floyd. Businesses that do not deserve this. Innocent people have been hurt. I've even seen a photograph of a police horse where the side of its face, mouth, muzzle was smashed badly by somebody throwing a brick at a horse. Really? Really? Throwing a brick at a horse? Wow, y'all are just some real admirable people out there, aren't you? Attacking innocents, destroying cities, destroying livelihoods, because you think you can break a system of free enterprise and come in with communism or whatever ism you think will be better, which I'm going to do some videos on that topic. By the way, that's going to be coming up. The merits and demerits. And you may not be happy. All that said, yeah, I understand both sides of the thinking. Because when I was a young guy, back in high school days, I was on the wrong side of the tracks. I learned better. I grew up. And I hope I can encourage you to see the light for what is wrong and what is right, and what works and what don't. I certainly have seen it. And hopefully if you've got a mind, you can see it too. Okay, here's what I really think. There is one individual that's definitely behind a lot of these kind of things in the past. He's been known to fund Antifa. He's been known to fund riots and instigate trouble around the world, particularly here in the United States. And his name is George Soros. Now, I can't prove that George Soros is behind this. The NSA absolutely can. The NSA absolutely could track this down and prove it if they want to. They can absolutely determine and know who's behind this. In fact, I'm pretty sure they already know. Are they going to do anything about it? Therein lies the question. And if they don't, that opens even bigger questions. I hope they do. If they don't, then I would assume this is a deep state operation or deep state sanctioned. If that's the case, the level of treason runs high and deep. Because anybody funding and aiding and abetting this is committing treason against our country. Because you're basically supporting the overthrow of our nation, of our system, and of destroying lives, destroying property, destroying businesses. The small businesses have been suffering already. Small businesses are suffering from the shutdowns. The small businesses are suffering from government over-regulation, which I've talked about. The small businesses are suffering even from the city halls, who, for the safety of the citizens, require that every electrician and plumber get about 20 different certifications. And so all the older guys who really know how to fix your systems and make it work right, and just replacing a simple valve or a solenoid switch, suddenly are replaced now with the bigger corporations who can afford the overhead for all that, and they hire some snot-nosed kid to go out who says, "Duh, you need a new HVAC system," and they probably don't know how to install it. Okay, there are some good people at those companies too, but I have run into those types too. I absolutely have. And my success rate and satisfaction dealing with the individual tradesmen was far higher, because for one, it costs them about a third as much money for labor rates. Two, they solve problems fast. They tell you what's really wrong, and they just do better work. They're safer. I've had the big companies come in and make a mess out of stuff, left things that were not safe. So this idea you're buying safety is a sham. Absolutely sham. Absolutely sham. It's putting the small guys out of business. It's getting rid of sovereign businesses. They want to put everybody who works for themselves out of business. If you work for yourself, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a farmer, or anybody who's not working for someone else, they want you out of business. That's pretty obvious, because that's the big trend, and they're pushing it hard and pushing it from many directions. So I say vote with your dollar. I've been saying that. Vote with your dollar and trade with the people that they're trying to stamp on. Support your local businesses. Support your local tradesmen, your local plumbers, your local individual small businesses. Go and buy from the stores, the small stores. Go buy from the artisans. That's how you can take your things back. Go and buy from the local farmers. Shop at the farmers markets. I'm going to do a video. I was at the farmers market last Saturday. Yes, I was selling. And I'll put that video up soon, maybe sometime this week. I do a lot of stuff. It's hard for me to post videos every day, especially when you got to edit them, or at least every video when I film it. I've got videos I've never posted. I've done lots of videos I don't post just because it takes too much time to edit them. And some of them I may get around to posting later. So you might see some videos from last year or a year before. I got videos from 2018. And I don't have really good videos of building this barn, but I've got some. I might could put together a presentation on building this barn one day. I'm sure you'd really like that. I got some funny videos, but they're short. And I got some funny stories about building this barn and a greenhouse and many other things. So back to this topic. Oh yeah, if you want to see all my videos, what's coming, subscribe to my channel and click the update notification bell and click all. And to support my channel, support me by clicking the links below. Now is the time to prep. If you don't realize that we're in a situation where things are going to be even worse, if you've not paid attention to my videos, and I've been very prophetic telling you things to come, I'm going to tell you, you really, really need to get into prepping. I'm going to talk about that more in the future. You go to prepwithgreg.com, get it while you can. You should have already done it. You should already be there. If not, don't drag your feet. Run. Get it done. And you can never have too much. So keep prepping as much as you can, as long as you can, as long as things are available, because availabilities may vanish by the end of this year. If visions of a certain individual that I posted a video on pan out, which they really sound true to me. But back to the situation at hand. So, is George Soros behind this? Is somebody else behind this? Somebody's behind it. And the NSA ought to know. If they don't know, why don't they know? They ought to know. They ought to find out. If they don't know, would be highly suspicious. They absolutely can find out. So why aren't these people arrested and brought to trial? I don't care if he's a billionaire. George Soros, a lot of you people follow him and think he's great because he's a philanthropist. He's made his billions by crashing economies, by crashing currencies, which destroyed people's lives. Yeah, he makes the excuse that, well, they would have fallen already. Well, there's a lot of people that beg to differ on that. There's a lot of analysts who see him as a vulture, as a raptor. So they see him as a monster in the financial world. But know this about Soros. He admitted on an interview with 60 Minutes. He was interviewed on 60 Minutes several years ago and asked if he was an associate with a mentor who protected him from the Nazis. He was Jewish, by the way. And that mentor just basically claimed that he was his adopted son or something along that order. But what he did was he went around and confiscated property from Jews. Yes, George Soros was part of confiscating property from Jews. And he is Jewish. And he did it. He was a traitor to his own people. But what really gets me was when, there's video on this, I have seen it, when he was questioned and asked by the correspondent at 60 Minutes if that bothered him, his response was, not at all. In fact, he repeated, he said it twice, not at all, not at all. Cold, calloused, the man must be a sociopath at best. Most likely, he's a psychopath. If you trust him, if he's your leader and you think he's showing you the light and the way, you're heading down the wrong way. You're going to fall into a very dark rabbit hole or rat hole. That's where he's at. That's where his soul comes from, is a rat hole. So if you're following Soros, you need to wake up. The man is going to lead this country to nothing. And you may think things are going to improve, that it's going to get better. No. He's feeding you a false line. I can talk more about this in the future. I've said enough about it now. Now I'm just simply asking questions. Is he behind this? And if he is, or even if he's not, if somebody else is behind it, why are not charges brought up? Why are they not arrested and put on trial? Everybody deserves a fair trial. Everyone. Totally agree with that. And if you're arrested, you're supposed to be read the charges to which you're arrested for. That's the writ of habeas corpus. And anybody deserves that. But anybody that's wrecking a nation ought to be arrested. Anybody that's funding things that's causing people to die ought to be arrested. If you're destroying businesses and you're backing that, you ought to be arrested. If you're trying to bring down a way of life, the prosperity of a people, you ought to be arrested. You may not like hearing that. But if you're destroying lives, you're destroying property, you're destroying people, things they have worked hard for, and you've been sitting on a couch all your life and you're going out destroying somebody else's hard work, somebody had nothing to do with what instigated all this, where's the justice in that? There is no justice in that. That's wrong. Two wrongs does not make a right. And if you're involved in that, you should be arrested. Oh, by the way, they probably would be able to trace most people that are involved in this through their social media contacts, through the Global Hawk drones that are flying overhead. You would not believe their surveillance capabilities. So if y'all are not arrested, then this is a deep state op. Interesting. Which means if you think you're doing a revolution, you're actually serving the deep state. It's the opposite of what you think. If you're out there, one of the kids out protesting, you are being led down a false path by the devils from the darkness. And they ain't the fun party devils that you think. No, 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 no. We're talking doom, despair, and agony. That's what you're heading for. And that means you personally. Gloom, despair, and agony on you. That's what you are setting yourself up for. It's not going to be that you're going to be able to sit on your couch and play video games for the rest of your life and get a check from the government and everything's going to be hunky-dory. That's what you think. Buddy, yeah, you might get that for a few weeks. Then it's going to be you're in a rack and stack shipping container next to the railroad track, and that railroad track leads to the gas chambers. Yes, or someplace, because go to the Georgia Guidestones, my friends, and listen to what some of these people on that side talk about, the useless eater language. Don't be a useless eater. Be a producer. Wake up. Be productive. Help your fellow man. Do something good. Let's do good things. You know, what we ought to be doing is trying to promote racial harmony. Reach across the race lines, whatever color you are. Say something nice to someone on the other side. Go out of your way to say something nice. Be good. Let's see if we can promote some unity instead of all this craziness that's going on. If left unchecked, we're going to have real problems. And we don't want the government to overreact. I still believe in our freedoms, our Constitution, and I've talked about that at great length, and I'm 100% on that. So, once again, take care, be careful, keep your head low. There's, you know, you might think you're going to peaceful protest, and I have no issue with peaceful protest. I do think that the killing of George Floyd was wrong, that black people have a lot to be concerned about. Their fears are justified. But destroying businesses, homes, and it's not even black people doing it. It's not even black people doing it. It's, you know, somebody says right-wing anarchist. Well, it looks like it's left-wing anarchist. And maybe there's some of those, but it really looks to be the other side. You know, what the media tells you and what things really are usually 180 degrees apart from each other. Oh, well. All that said, we're not in pretty times, my friends. Not at all. But the powder keg has not exploded yet. It's just spewing. And it is spewing, but it has not exploded. There's a lot more latent tension in this country, and that tension is tense indeed. This thing could come apart in all kind of directions. I hope we can avert that. I really do. But I don't want to see our rights taken from me and you either. So let's just be careful. I would say, hey, try to stay away from the protest. Keep your head low. If you have grievances, take them up with your local legislators. Let them know how you want to vote. I would take up, in fact, here's what I would say. Write President Trump. Write your senators. Write your representatives and ask why they're not bringing the people to the justice. Say, hey, we know that you know who's done this, who's behind it. We know that. So if you don't take care of this business, then we don't trust you. You've lost our faith and confidence. Because the NSA has all this data. So either y'all need to do something or shut the NSA down so they're not spying on all of us. Be bold. Call for action. We want to see results. We want this brought to an end. We want a peaceful country. Peaceful, prosperous country. We could still have that. But the chances are diminishing day by day. And for that reason, you need to prep every day. Get ready. Get ready. It could get a lot worse, and it could happen really fast. Just look at how stunningly fast these things have happened. Look how in the beginning of this year we had little tussles with Iran. Look how suddenly we had a pandemic and how that's affected us. And then on top of that, there's all kind of tensions with China right now. There's a real prospect for World War III. They might preemptively do what was seen in the vision of Stacy from Sustainable Stewards. I got a video on that. Because what she saw was exactly the tactics that would probably be employed. And that's something a lot of defense analysts really don't have a good grasp for it. That came from a farm girl validates her vision. Hey, she's got a good heart. She's a hard worker. I admire her and her channel. She's awesome. Sustainable Stewards. Check it out. She is awesome. So, I've had some awesome people on this channel. But also, you go back and look at my predictions, the things I've told people. So, pay attention. I'm saying it can get a whole lot worse, a whole lot faster. And yeah, this has been a soft it hits the fan. You can still go to the store. You can still shop. When the grid goes down, that will stop. There will be no stores to go to, no restaurants, no nothing. What you got is all you got. And that's it. So get ready. Hope for the best. You know, write your congressman. Try to make the case for things to come. It's our duty to try to keep this country together. It's our duty to try to promote peace and civility as long as we still have our rights. So hope for the best, but you really better prepare for the worst and be prepared for it to come fast, because that's what it's looking like, my friends. Oh well, don't like to bring bad news. I'll show some other good, happy things, and you'll still see me laugh, because you can't let them take you down. Don't let them take your soul. Don't let them take your sense of humor. You still got to be able to have that from time to time. We're still humans. But don't let emotion put you doing illogical things, and most of all, never panic. There are YouTube channels out there. There are prepper channels out there that have said, I'll tell you when to panic. Don't panic now. I'll tell you when to panic. No. Greg Allison will tell you, never panic. If they're coming at you and they're facing you and they got the knives and the guns pointed at you, you don't panic then either. You get smart. You resolve how are you going to whip them. Because when you panic, you lose it, they get you. You can't think. The most powerful weapon you got is between your ears. But when you panic, those hormones shut it down. You're in reptile mode. You're fight or flight, and you're not thinking. And you'll get wiped out before you can start blinking. All right, enough said. Be calm. Pray. Go out and do something good. Most of all, again, the best way we can fight darkness is with light. Shine the light of your love, of your heart. Go out and do something good for anybody and everybody, but reach across the racial lines, especially. Say something good. It may be hard for you to do. Maybe you've got an issue with that. Think about it. Search out your soul. Everybody's a human being. You got a pet dog or a pet cat, do you expect them to be like you? No, we're the same inside. So why you treat a dog or a cat better than you treat another human? Think about it. Every human is a human. Every human has a heart, has a soul. Inside, we're all the same. We are. So we need to build those bridges again. So just reach out and do something good. Yeah, we got cultural differences, but that can be a good thing. We've got to learn how to accentuate the positive and downplay the negative in our cultural differences and have something to celebrate. But again, go out and do something good. Be nice. Reach across the divide to the other peoples and do something really good, something nice. Just say something nice. Okay? All right. Really appreciate everyone. Thank you for watching.